Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Ultra Confusion interview. This time we have Idris, the man, the myth, the legend behind the company Lightstep Games. And of course, we're here today to talk about his game, Sprinter. So, Idris, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm a sole developer who started on Sprinter about 3 years ago. And basically, throughout my life, I've somehow been lucky enough to fall into all the skills to create a game. I started out as an animator outside when I got out of university, and then after I realized I probably wasn't quite good enough at that job, I started doing composing, freelance composing, which I've been doing since I was a kid, really. And then at one point, I decided to just take up programming and make a few little prototype games, little tiny little examples to maybe help me get a job. And I managed to get a good job as a programmer. And from that moment, I realized that I could just save up some money and quit my job and make a game all on my own. And I've I've been just working towards that and working towards this effectively this day for the last 5-6 years probably. And just saving up money and designing little ideas and making little prototypes. And Sprinter is my first real full game, and that's where I'm at now. So
All right, so of course, we're here to talk about your game, Sprinter. So, tell me a little bit about Sprinter. What's the story? What's the inspiration? That kind of thing.
yeah, so the story, the narrative of Sprinter is actually a story based on some real life events of people that I've met in my life, and it's it's about a family, a mother, father, and a daughter, and they're effectively torn apart by kind of a tragic event that affects the mother, and then that event obviously affects the father and then the daughter in very different ways. So the father will turn to alcoholism, and the mother obviously is diagnosed with an illness which causes all of this kind of fallout. And the game kind of tells the story of how it affects, first of all, Rosie, the daughter, who's kind of the central character, and how it affects the other two, the parents, as they go from kind of breaking apart, and then slowly, as you go through the 6 chapters of the game, you start to see them effectively form back together as a family. And so it's kind of a heavy story in the beginning, but it makes up for it in the end, I think.
So, of course, as part of this game, so basically the characters are running from something or to something throughout this game, and so you have this nice little gradual increase in the amount of actions you have to take to get through the level through the levels and the chapters. So let's see here. So you've got opening the doors. You've got disabling cameras, noise making to distract guards, treasures, slowing down time. I mean, so where did you? What is the inspiration behind all these different mechanics? And I have to say that I really enjoyed the fact that you didn't throw them all at the gamer at first. You gradually added it on so that an individual could actually master the previous ones before he got tackled by the next ones.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. I think that's how they were almost designed as well. It was initially it was just the door and the guard and the camera in the first prototype. I wanted to create something quick and something that required a bit of muscle memory, a bit of reaction, and a bit of accuracy. And when I realized that it was actually quite fun, I started building out the prototype, and I realized very quickly that in order to build it into a full game, we need to expand the actions that the player would have to perform. And I thought of obviously picking keys off guards to unlock doors is very much an old trope from most 3D stealth games and all stealth games effectively. And I kind of saw my game in the beginning, at least, and at least spiritually now, as a stealth game, but in very fast motion. So yeah, the first new mechanic that I thought of for sure was definitely taking keys and taking treasure. So on top of opening the doors and distracting the guards, and disabling the cameras, it was just another action for the player to kind of have to prepare for and use within the level. And then it was all about from that point on, it was about increasing that need to kind of learn these new mechanics and increasing the tasks that a player would have to do within a level. Just adding that little bit of difficulty and asking them to kind of rely on their muscle memory and kind of take away from them trying to do it on reaction, for example. Muscle memory is one of the keys of this game, and the thing that I love the most about that is you will always improve. Always. There's not a point where you'll play the game or you'll play the same level for 10 minutes and then in minute 15 you're not way better at it than you were in minute 1. And so I tried to expand on that theme, and obviously the final mechanic was slowdown, which is a feature that I absolutely love. I've always wanted to that mechanic was always going to be in the game no matter what, but when I first put it in, I realized that it would allow for a lot more complicated scenarios and scenarios that would literally be impossible without slowdown. And so from then I kind of designed it that way, and I think overall that kind of built into a game that would be able to stretch over a couple of hours and be the like the perfect level of difficulty by the end. I would hope.
Well, I definitely have to say that the slowdown definitely helped, but at the same time, when you know that you got to slow down time, you know that you're about to go through something where even though you're going in a much slower rate than the vast majority of the game, you have to you still have to do timing.
Holly home. Thingy's on.
Sorry, we're gonna have to start that again.
Okay.
Sorry, Dal, I'm doing an interview.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, sorry, man.
It's all right. Can we go for that question?
Sure. So I have to say I really like the basically slowing down time mechanic, because it definitely gives you a little bit of a breather at one point, because you're no longer going at this breakneck speed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know that if there's going to be a slowdown, you know that you're about to go into a situation. Even though it is going in slow motion, it still requires the utmost precision, because if you trigger like the guard or the camera too soon, it's still on the same timer, because you're still going the same speed.
Exactly.
It's just, it looks slower on the screen. So you think, oh man, I'll just set everything up while it's going slow. And you forget that the mere fact that you're also going at that speed. It's not like everything slows down but you.
Yeah. There are a few things that actually don't slow down as well. There's so when you hold to pick a key or you hold to do a dash, those are the only two things in the game that won't slow down. So you'll notice when you get into later levels that there'll be like a treasure chest right next to a dash, which in full motion it would be impossible for you to hold the left trigger, release, and hold the right trigger and release it in that distance. So the slowdown allows me to kind of play with some of those mechanics a lot more.
And I've definitely experienced that as I've gone through the vast majority of the game, and I do like the fact that you have a specific number of basically times that you can slow down during the level. So you've got to pick and choose, and you really have to look over the entire level to make sure you know exactly when to use it, because if you use it too soon in an area like this is kind of complicated, but maybe I could get through without using it, then you're screwed later on. But I like the balance here, and then
I'm glad.
let's talk about the story. So in the story, the way that you're portraying the story is through pictures. It's not really a lot of words. It's more of here is an event that's happening now, and then here are two like Polaroids of events that have happened in the past.
Yeah. So with the story, I wanted to create something totally visual, effectively. I'm kind of. I was at the stage where I wanted to create a game with the least words possible. It seems weird to say that, but like, for example, even in the tutorials, it's like tap once or something. I don't want the player to have to read. I wanted everything to be visual and everything to flow, to kind of go in with the theme of the gameplay. And so the story, very very importantly for me, had to flow and had to be almost instant in terms of how a player can take it in. and so it had to be visual images, and I just tried to think of unique ways of doing that, unique ways of telling a story, which is effectively a story over 30 years, visually, and at the end of each level that would kind of intrigue the player, but wouldn't break their flow of the game. And so obviously the story is set up with the center panel, the center main panel, which kind of counts down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for the levels in each chapter, and that kind of gives you a snippet of a story over 5 seconds, effectively. So that's a very direct and very immediate story, and then the two sideboards are kind of supplemental memories that kind of give context to the story that's happening in the middle, about the past, about how, for example, how Rosie was raised, and some of the sideboards in those chapters explain why Rosie's father is entering the room a little drunk and causing a little bit of chaos.
Right.
And so it's all about providing context for the main center image, and creating just a narrative experience, I guess, or a narrative kind of idea that hasn't been done before in games or indie games, I guess. I just wanted to try something unique, really.
Well, to be honest with you, I think the one thing that I don't know if you thought about it this way, but one of the enhancements, the I guess, like the oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? The pluses to having the ability to tell a story through just pictures and not through words is that an individual who may not know a specific language could still get the gist of what's going on, or get the entire story, because it's all right there. Now, of course, there is one set of pictures that it didn't really work with for me, but overall, I mean, I basically got the entire story. I saw, I saw that glint, that shot at what's happening now, and then and of course the outer pictures gave us more context to really enhance the story. So I like that. It is different, and I have to say that it's in reviewing a lot of games, I have to say that when you don't use words, it's a lot harder to tell a story. But if you can get it, and I think, with the exception of that one panel, I think that this one nails it on the head, is that you can gain a different level of depth, because when you have words, people basically just stick at that level of words, but those individuals who are looking for something rich can really utilize their imagination to really breathe more life into the pictures. And so you can also take the pictures for whatever you want them to be.
There's definitely a lot of different interpretations that can be had, but the main arc is clear, but there's so many details and so many little things that I put into a lot of the side panels and other panels that some people will maybe pick up on, or some people might not on second playthroughs. But and in terms of some of the panels that don't work, the nature of this experiment, which is effectively what it is, it's a narrative experiment. It means that there's going to be some things that are difficult to pick up on, but it's a risk worth taking, effectively, to do something crazy original. I wanted to challenge myself, effectively, and I'm really happy with the result. Also, the option for gold times in the game allows you to skip the story, just in case you didn't know. So if you do replay levels within the game, to go for the gold times, you can skip the story panels very quickly. So the game kind of quickens up and focuses on a player who would like to get the extra challenge and who's already seen the story, effectively.
Gotcha. I had one more question for you. So, just out of curiosity, since you are the creator of Sprinter, how good are you at Sprinter?
Ridiculously. I've completed the game without failing once. Yep. And my brother, who has only played the game twice, completed the game in 17 minutes without failing at all. It was unbelievable. So yeah, me and him are probably the target when we built this game, and I had to make it easier over and over again.
Right.
So even though it is a very hard game, and you did not want to see the prototype, trust me.
Yeah, and I totally understand. I was a developer once upon a time, and the games that, from the beginning, you don't want to see what it looked like early on, because if I were to show some of the games that I made early on, no one would have been interested or stuck around till the final product. So I totally understand.
And I mean, to go back to the difficulty as well. I mean, the difficulty is something that I've obviously been trying to balance throughout the whole of the development, and it is a very hard game. But the one thing that I never wanted to lose was the reward, and what I hoped to gain from this gameplay mechanic and from this gameplay experience is that yes, it's frustrating, but it's also addictive. The quick restarts, and the fact that the game, hopefully, at least maybe. Doesn't make you feel like it's the game's fault. It should always feel like your fault. And then the type of player that I'm kind of aiming this game at will be the type of player that, yes, they're frustrated, but they don't want to let go of the pad, and until they finally complete that level. And when they do, that feeling is effectively what I designed this game for. That rewarding feeling.
Well, you got me there. I mean, I definitely have. I definitely went through several levels of frustration, almost to the point of wanting to smash my controller on one level. But but the thing is, it is one of those games where you find that you experience that failure, but it's not because of what the game's done. It's because you didn't do something right. Like I have a very, very bad habit of when I'm like deep in a level that's got a bunch of stuff, I accidentally hit the the slowdown when I'm not supposed to, and I'm like, oh god,
okay,
I am so dead. Or I've noticed that you can trigger. In certain instances, if you accidentally hit the button for the noisemaker or to disable the camera, you can accidentally do that before you're ready for it, and then as soon as you get there, they become active again, and then you're, curtains. So
I'm glad you enjoy it, though. I'm glad you enjoy it.
I do. I do, and I'll admit to anyone who does play this game, this is definitely a game. Like we said, it's muscle memory. So if you take a week off, you may want to start with an easier level. Like I think it's like, what'd you say, chapter 4, where you really start to have like all the mechanics.
Yeah.
You may want to start there if you've gotten there. To try to relearn some of the buttons, because I'll tell you what, you take a couple days off and you definitely need to roll back into the game. It's not something you can immediately pick up and then excel at. Though I'm going to be honest with you, I think okay, so I've probably put in 2 hours into the game, easy.
Yeah.
And I'm like a stage or two into the final chapter. So I'm not speed running this at by any means, but I keep coming back because I want to see the ending, because I'm very interested to see what happens with with the stories of Emily, Lyle, and Rosie.
I'm glad. But so you're on level 3 of chapter 6, is that right?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. I apologize in advance for level 4 and 5.
Great. It gets better. Awesome.
Yes. So level 4 and 5 are the only levels in the game where you have 3 slowdowns.
Oh my god. That's the other thing. I mean, I like the fact that you have most of the abilities minus the slowdown. You could do it any time, though. The effectiveness is, you don't want to pickpocket something when there's nothing to pickpocket, but to have that, the limited amount of slowdowns, and having this, to me, actually made me pay more attention to actually view the entire level before I ran it, because in my mind I was like, okay, I've got 2 slowdowns, That means there's 2 spots that I'm going to have to slow down stuff because I'm going to be going too fast. So where are these points so I could better figure out how the heck to do it? And you know, and of course, usually
it adds a little puzzle element to it almost. So
I mean, and I do like the fact that you do give the gamer that ability to actually view the entire level. I mean, yeah, sure. Sometimes when you view the level, you're like, oh, I've got this. But there's other times when you look at the level and you're like, how in the world am I supposed to do this? And it's not.
I can't wait. I really can't wait till you get to the last level in the game and you view it. I really can't wait.
Oh man, now you're scaring me. I don't. We'll see if I can actually.
Shall I give you a hint of how big the level is?
Yes.
What's the highest? I think the highest pastime you're probably up to now is about 10, 12 seconds, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Level 5 of chapter 6 is 23 seconds.
Oh my god. Oh wow, that's got a lot of twists and turns in it then.
Yeah.
Because I know the higher the number, the more pain I might find myself in. because of the fact that as I stated earlier, you know, when I'm like, you know, trying to zone in, I'm trying to cut those couple seconds off. I always try to, you know, just skirt the corner, and sometimes you get a little too close and you slow down, or you go to complete stop, which is usually my case. And then because you've done all the hard stuff, all you got to do is go through one more door and you're there.
Yeah.
And then you either hit the door or you hit the wall, and then 0.1, 0.2 seconds off, and you got to redo it.
Yeah. I do apologize.
Hey, that's, I mean, you know,
yeah, I'm not really sorry.
I know. I wouldn't be sorry either. I mean, the thing is, you have a complex game, and it's one that definitely has a learning curve. But when you learn it and you do well, that sense of accomplishment is pretty dang big.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Especially when you get to the end of the chapter.
Yeah. That's how I want to design games for the rest of my life. Probably will maybe the next game might not be as totally hard, but I'm always working towards that rewarding feeling, and the only way to earn reward is with difficulty, unfortunately.
This is true.
So
this is true. I agree. So, all right, I know that, you know, Sprinter is still in the mind, and I don't want to try to force you to go too far ahead, but Lightstep Games is in the what does the future look like?
It's something that I've always thought about for the past, like, even for the past year, even when I've been finishing Sprinter. The aim is to effectively build up a small amount of funding, a very small amount of funding, because obviously being a one-man developer doesn't really require too much investment. So, I mean, I do all the music, all the artwork, all the programming, all the animation. So I'm hoping that I would only need to really take about 6 to 8 months to kind of build up some money, and basically I will be creating a prototype for a new game, and I'll probably release the prototype for free, and see what response I can get from publishers. Because now that I've made Sprinter, now that I've published it onto Steam myself, now that I've basically been through the whole process and proven that I can create a product that is viable and competent at the very least, hopefully can be seen as very good. So that's a really important thing to have when approaching publishers, for sure. And my idea for a second game is wildly ambitious, but I'm very excited about it, and I feel like if I can nail the prototype, then I think it will get a lot of traction. So I'm really excited about that. So that's the next step for Lightstep Games, effectively, but just putting myself into a position to create my next game, and start with a prototype, start small, and just let people know exactly what I'm trying to do with my crazy gameplay ideas.
Hey, if they work, they work.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Okay, is it going to be? Well, now that begs the question of it. Can it be crazier than all these different moves that you have in Sprinter?
Well, it's actually a 3D game, and it's almost a spiritual successor to Sprinter.
Okay.
But but every lesson that I've learned in terms of the difficulty, in terms of the modes that were cut from the game, it's effectively the game that I had in my mind in the beginning, but didn't know how to make because I had to fail over and over again. And I now have it very clearly planned out in my head, and I know I can do it. And so it's very exciting. And yeah, the ambition is it will be 10 times bigger than Sprinter, and it will be it's just a natural progression. Sprinter is a game that I absolutely adore and love, and I'm so proud of. But it is my first game, and I can see all of its faults and I can see all of its merits, and that will inform my next move going forward. And that's why it's just so much more exciting, because I feel like I'm just way better at this now.
And that's what you want to feel at the end of the game development process.
Yeah.
So your game is available on Steam. Is it available anywhere else?
No, not yet. It will be. I've emailed Humble and Good Old Games, and there's also a Mac Game Store which I'm looking into. But yeah, Steam is currently the only platform.
Okay. And let's see here. Let's see if I have one more question for you here. Besides the fact that the last stage is 23 seconds, which means I'm probably going to do it in 45 the first like 7 times. So in summation, Sprinter is basically your baby. It's definitely gone through a lot of different cycles and evolutions to the game that is available today on Steam. It's a game that involves 3 characters, and the way that their life is rocked by one of the family members being ill, and the repercussions of that action going down. There's 6 chapters, all of course of increasing difficulty, and of course you've got several different mechanics that you add in throughout the game to make the game. Not only are you advancing the game story-wise, but you're also advancing the game in complexity because of the amount of the amount of different actions you now have to take. So I have to say to the audience that this game is definitely something you need to check out. It's the art style is perfect for what the game is trying to do, and I hope that you have some patience, like I sometimes do, because like I said, I've sometimes wanted to smash my controller as a result of 1 or 2 of the levels where I had everything perfect. I got through all the hard stuff, and then it was the easy stuff like a door or a corner that caught me. So Idris, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to talk to us today. No problem at
all. Thank you.
I hope only the best for you. I hope that you've got many games in your future. And
I appreciate that.
And I do hope that wherever Lightstep Games goes next, that you keep Ultra Confusion in mind. And
I definitely will.
That would be awesome for us. And to that, I say thank you once again, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.